In August 1990, the world woke up to a crisis that would redefine modern warfare, global alliances, and the balance of power in the Middle East. Satellite images showed Iraqi tanks rolling into Kuwait, oil fields falling under foreign control, and a regional dispute rapidly transforming into an international emergency. What followed was not just a war between nations, but the first large-scale conflict of the post-Cold War era, one that introduced the world to precision bombing, live television war coverage, and a new kind of global military coalition. This was the Persian Gulf War, a conflict driven by oil, power, debt, and ambition. To understand the Persian Gulf War, one must first understand Iraq's condition at the end of the 1980s. From 1980 to 1988, Iraq fought a brutal war against Iran. The conflict ended in a stalemate, but left Iraq economically devastated. The country was burdened with an estimated $80 billion in foreign debt, much of it owed to Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. Iraq's economy depended heavily on oil exports, yet global oil prices were low. Saddam Hussein believed this economic pressure threatened Iraq's survival. He argued that Kuwait was intentionally overproducing oil, driving prices down and harming Iraq's ability to recover. Additionally, Iraq accused Kuwait of slant drilling into Iraqi oil fields near the border, claims Kuwait denied. Beyond economic grievances, Saddam Hussein revived an old territorial claim. He argued that Kuwait was historically part of Iraq and had been separated during the British colonial period. Although this claim had little international legal support, it was used domestically to justify aggressive rhetoric. Throughout early 1990, diplomatic tensions escalated. Arab League mediation attempts failed. Despite warnings from neighboring states and Western governments, Iraq continued to move troops toward the Kuwaiti border, raising concerns but not triggering immediate international action. On August 2, 1990, Iraqi forces invaded Kuwait. The operation was swift and overwhelming. Within hours, Iraqi troops had seized Kuwait City, overwhelmed Kuwaiti defenses, and forced the Kuwaiti government into exile. Saddam Hussein declared Kuwait Iraq's 19th province. The invasion shocked the world. Kuwait was a sovereign nation and a key oil producer. Iraq's move threatened regional stability and raised fears of further aggression towards Saudi Arabia, which held some of the world's largest oil reserves. The international response was immediate and decisive. The United Nations Security Council passed Resolution 660, condemning Iraq's invasion and demanding an immediate withdrawal. Economic sanctions soon followed, aiming to pressure Iraq without immediate military action. The United States, under President George H.W. Bush, viewed the invasion as a direct threat to global oil supplies and international order. With strong diplomatic efforts, the U.S. assembled a broad coalition that included NATO allies, Arab states, and other nations. This coalition would become one of the largest military alliances since World War II. In August 1990, the United States launched Operation Desert Shield, deploying hundreds of thousands of troops to Saudi Arabia to defend it from potential Iraqi attack. Coalition forces grew rapidly, eventually totaling over 700,000 personnel from more than 30 countries. During this period, diplomacy continued. The UN issued Resolution 678, authorizing the use of force if Iraq did not withdraw from Kuwait by January 15, 1991. Saddam Hussein ignored the deadline, setting the stage for war. On January 17, 1991, coalition forces launched Operation Desert Storm. The conflict began with an intense aerial bombing campaign targeting Iraqi command centers, air defenses, communication systems, and military infrastructure. The air campaign lasted over a month and demonstrated a new era of warfare. Precision-guided munitions, stealth aircraft, and real-time satellite intelligence allowed coalition forces to cripple Iraq's military capabilities while minimizing coalition casualties. For the first time, war was broadcast live on television, shaping global public perception. In response, Iraq launched Scud missile attacks against Israel and Saudi Arabia. Saddam Hussein hoped to provoke Israel into retaliating, which could fracture the Arab members of the coalition. However, Israel, under pressure from the United States, refrained from military response. Coalition forces deployed Patriot missile defense systems to intercept incoming Scuds. While their effectiveness was debated, their symbolic role was significant, showcasing defensive missile technology on a global stage. On February 24, 1991, coalition forces launched the ground offensive. Iraqi troops, already weakened by weeks of airstrikes, offered limited resistance. Coalition forces executed a rapid flanking maneuver through the Saudi desert, encircling Iraqi units. Within 100 hours, coalition forces liberated Kuwait and destroyed much of Iraq's conventional military. On February 28, 1991, President Bush declared a ceasefire, officially ending combat operations. The human cost of the war was significant. Iraqi military casualties were estimated in the tens of thousands, while coalition losses were comparatively low, with fewer than 300 combat deaths. Civilian casualties occurred, particularly from airstrikes and infrastructure damage, highlighting the human toll of modern warfare. Environmental damage was also severe. Retreating Iraqi forces set fire to Kuwaiti oil wells, causing massive pollution and long-term ecological damage. Although Kuwait was liberated, Saddam Hussein remained in power. The coalition chose not to advance to Baghdad, fearing regional instability and the collapse of Iraq. Instead, strict economic sanctions were imposed, along with weapons inspections aimed at preventing Iraq from developing weapons of mass destruction. These sanctions severely affected Iraqi civilians throughout the 1990s, contributing to humanitarian crises and ongoing tensions between Iraq and the international community. The Persian Gulf War reshaped Middle Eastern geopolitics. U.S. military presence in the region increased significantly, particularly in Saudi Arabia, which later became a point of contention and extremist propaganda. The war also established the United States as the dominant global military power in the post-Cold War world. The use of advanced technology set new standards for warfare and influenced military strategies worldwide. One of the most lasting legacies of the Gulf War was how it was covered. CNN's 24-hour news coverage brought war into living rooms across the globe. This real-time reporting changed how governments managed public opinion and how civilians experienced conflict. The war demonstrated the growing importance of information warfare, psychological operations, and media control, elements that would become central in future conflicts. The Persian Gulf War was more than a regional conflict. It marked the beginning of a new global order, where military power, technology, and international coalitions defined conflict resolution. While the war achieved its immediate objective, liberating Kuwait, it left unresolved issues that would resurface in later decades. From continued instability in Iraq to future wars in the region, the echoes of the Gulf War are still felt today. It stands as a reminder that modern wars may be short in duration, but their consequences can last generations.